Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my page. Glad to see you here. Hope everybody is doing well. I just wanted to update on the whole MSU case. As a lot of you may know that have followed me, I started my journey to get snap-in implants after my dentures they just were not a good fit for me. I have a really bad gag reflex, and that incense and when the dentures don't sit right, it just really, and I made my dentures into a horseshoe. That did not help my matters at all. So in February this year, I made an appointment down at MSU in Charleston to go to their dental school for their snap-in program at the dental school. My first appointment was in March of this year. So went down in March the 18th, when you go down there, you have to go to their first intake program. They did a x-ray of me. The lady, the clinical director that was overseeing the student, she made a phone call up to someone higher. They said I had perfect bone, would be great for their student program. Fast forward to April the 18th. I get down there. The student calls me the day before. I asked her, did I need to bring anything extra, etc. She said, no, be happy to see you on the 18th at 1 o'clock. So I get down there, and it was pretty much, I got told, she brought a surgical student over, and he roughly told me about what prices would be, that they did a 2-for-1 special, that the post would be $500 a piece. And then we could go from there, that it was going to be a 15 to 18 month process. I was okay with that. They told me when I left that day at 3 o'clock, when they pretty much shut me out the door, said somebody would call you. Well, about a month later, they graced me with a phone call. A text message, actually, and it was from my student, and said that you had been transferred to this part of the MSU campus. So I called that number and spoke to a lady. She said, no, we're a practicing dental. We offer no discounts, no nothing. From that point, I was extremely upset, because the whole reason I went this avenue was I don't have $20,000, $30,000 to put down on to get snap-ins. The whole reason I chose to go to the college was because of the cost difference and the money that I could save. Well, after that phone call, that was a Friday, I called the president's office, spoke to Miriam. Miriam's didn't call me back the next day. I text messaged her on a Saturday or Sunday and asked her what the deal was. Hadn't heard anything back. She said that Dr. Gambino, or I will put his name down below, was going to be contacting me. Well, when I tell you how, when this man called me, you might as well have been talking to a peasant, or dirt underneath my feet. He wanted to act like my money wasn't good enough. He said that I would be wasting too much time, quote unquote, and that I didn't understand what I was getting myself into. And I told him, sir, I had done my research prior. I knew that this was going to be a drawn-out process. I told him that, and I was upfront and honest about this from the get-go. And I asked him from the get-go, if this is something that the school cannot do, to please let me know. That was not the case. He started off by saying that my case was more difficult now, but previous appointments I was told I had perfect bone and was perfect for the student program. I honestly feel like what happened is that they wanted the money for their own dentist there. That they didn't want to do this as a student procedure, because it would take 15 to 18 months. And I don't think they wanted to do it that way. I think they wanted the money. And I'll just be really frank with that, because numerous times this doctor said, well, you're going to be wasting so much money, and are you prepared? And I said, sir, you're disrespecting me as a patient. And if you think I haven't done my due diligence before I even stepped foot there, and he just kept belittling me. about with money. Are you prepared? This, that, and the third. And he's like, well, this way you could just get it done and be done. I'm like, I knew that from the get-go. And he also said, well, why didn't you just go to a local dentist? Like, I was floored. I was completely and utterly floored at his response. And when I told him, look, from day one, from the first time I ever contacted MUSC, I was very transparent on what I wanted to do and all of that. So, I find it very disrespectful that this man never met me before, decided my fate. Well, no, he decided that he wanted the money in his pocket. Let's just be real. And that's the way I feel about it. Because for a dentist to do this type of procedure, they're going to make $15,000, $20,000 off of one mouth. And that's bare minimum. Okay? So I feel that the school made my case more difficult so they could transfer it to the dentist at MUSC so they could get $15,000 to $20,000 or to showboat me out the door, because I'm not a cavity, I'm not a root canal, I'm not extracting a tooth, etc. And I just want to be very transparent. And my journey, I was very transparent with MUSC. I would not recommend you to go to MUSC for nothing. I get that they may be great for a cavity. I get that they may be great for certain other things. But the way that I was treated during this whole experience, the president's office, when I called and filed the complaint, she told me she would get back a hold of me the next day. She never did. She used excuses. Just the same as this doctor used excuses. And I do not find that professional at all. And I'm very heartbroken, to be honest with you, because yes, did I invest time and money into this? Absolutely right. I knew what I was investing, but you know, in today's society, not many people have $15,000, $20,000 to say here. You know what I mean? So yes, did I have to get a rental car? Yes. Yes, that I had to come up with money for transportation, but that's none of the school's business. And they made it their business, and he kind of belittled me on how much time it would take away from my family, quote unquote, is what he said as well. I will tag this doctor down below. You know, I mean no hate, but the way he spoke to me, it's taken me a couple days to really get my thoughts together on how I feel about this whole subject. But the reason people go to these dental colleges is because they can get a procedure done for, you know, I would have been able to get my teeth done for probably around $10K, give or take. And that is considerable amount different than $20,000 to $30,000. And if you look anywhere at a local dentist or a local, you know, place that does this, that's going to be your cost. So at the end of the day, yes, would I had spent more on the other end as far as transportation, whatever. But, you know, a lot of times people can come up with, you know, $400, $500 quicker than they can come up with $20,000 or $15,000. But I just wanted to make this video. I feel like, you know, anybody that is looking to use them for this, and here's what makes me so upset. When I called the school and asked if this is something that they did, I was told, yes, we have this program, and yes, and all this. So they answered yes because they wanted me down there. But then when it came time to actually put your thoughts for your, you know, what you say and what you do is two different things. They said it, but they didn't come, they did not deliver by no means, shape, or form. And I feel totally disrespected by MUSC and by Dr. Bernardino, or whatever his name is. Like I said, I'll tag it below. And Miriam, the president, in the president's office, she said that they take every complaint seriously. Well, Miriam, this goes out to you. If you take every complaint seriously, then how about the transparency from day number one? Yes, I do get it that I was a unique case, But when I called to make my appointment, I told them what I was seeking. My first appointment, I told them what I was seeking and was told I was a great candidate for their student program. And then upon the fourth appointment, the second appointment in April, I was pretty much, I felt that day that this is what they were going to do. I didn't know for a fact, but I pretty much felt it by the way I was made to feel. And I will not recommend MUSC for anything else. I do not recommend spending a penny there unless it's just a dire need, unless it's a simple cavity fix or something to that nature. But for a whole college and for a doctor of his magnitude to speak to me the way he did and belittle me and think that my money is not good enough and that my time is not good enough, he even told me that I was wasting time. How am I wasting time if it's putting a smile back on my mouth and me being able to eat? Please explain that. I did end up telling him to have a nice day, that I told him I didn't feel this conversation would go any further because he continued to belittle me and belittle my time, my money. He's like, what are you going to do if you need to come back down for refit? Get in the car and come back down for a refit. You know, I knew this before I entered into wanting to come, before I ever made the first appointment. So I really suggest that if you're any part of MUSC, y'all really need to do some digging on the transparency. Because, here's another big red flag. I was never given any paperwork. I was never given anything written. And I think they've done this on purpose, so I couldn't hold them in stone for anything. Because on the April the 18th appointment, I was told prices. And then when I called the number that they sent me to, she was like, no, we don't do any type of discount like that. So I just feel like I was completely, my time and everything, it was all disingenuous. It all could have been said from day one. And I asked from the first appointment, is this something that can be done? If it cannot be done here at the school, please let me know so I don't waste any more time. But yet they wasted a lot more time of mine. And, at the end of the day, lesson learned for me. And here's another kicker. I had a dentist office and a couple dentist office to tell me to reach out to dental schools to have it done because it was cheaper. And this dentist said, I don't believe that. So, just be very wary if you're dealing with this man down there or have any dealings with MUSC. I hope this, video finds everybody well. Because at the end of the day, there are people out here looking for alternative options and they're spending $30,000 on a new smile. And there's some of us that cannot wear our dentures. And I'm one of those folks because I have a huge gag reflex. And my dentures just don't fit me well. They don't suction well. And at the end of the day, the next step for me was snap-ins. And, that was the avenue I was wanting to go. And I researched it for about 1.5 years before I made the phone call to MUSC. So, but anyway, that's my story. And if anybody sees this, just know that if you're on the East Coast looking for this type of affordable option, I would not recommend MUSC whatsoever, because they will not be transparent. They will not be forthcoming. And then when you do, when they do have to kind of tell you, look, we're not going to do this no more, they want to belittle you on the end of it and make you feel like, well, you're just wasting your time and money. And that really just set a fire in me. But anyways, guys, remember, if you want to do something, reach out and attain that goal. You know what I mean? Don't stop. Just because you get one no doesn't mean it's 1,000 no's. And, if anything I've learned in this recovery journey, everything happens for a reason. And you just got to get up, dust your feet off, dust your back off, or whatever. If you fall down 1,000 times, get back another, okay? We will figure out this journey, and hopefully in the future I'll find a dentist that can work with me. And and we can get this smile back to where it used to be. But, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm beautiful regardless. And it just upsets me that MUSC allowed this to happen. And it makes me mad. That they treat people like this. And this is exactly why I left the review I did on Google Review. And this is exactly why I've uploaded 2 videos regarding this subject. Because at the end of the day, the way I was treated and the way I was spoke to by this doctor on the phone was completely disrespectful. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But anyway, guys, like I tell everybody, this too shall pass. And what God brings you to, He'll bring you through. And I'm just going to keep praying that we can find a solution. I was promising myself I was going to make it through this video without crying, but it is what it is. But anyway, guys, know that you matter. Know that no matter what anybody says or thinks about you, that you matter at the end of the day. And don't quit fighting for you. I love y'all, guys. Peace out.